Have you ever had an epiphany? You know, an aha moment? I'm guessing that all of us have. Maybe it was something that you were puzzling over, trying how to fix something, or maybe you were racking your brain for a good vacation spot, or maybe you were just simply trying to remember something, and when you least expected it, aha, there it is. The answer appears, and you had it. Well, most of the world thinks of an epiphany in just that way, as a special revelation or an illuminating discovery. But in church, epiphany is an aha moment and then some. It's a season in which we celebrate God's Son revealed to us. It's marked by the visit of the Magi, which was 3 kings last weekend, and as it was last weekend, with the baptism of Jesus. And so we are in the season of Epiphany. But I bring this up because have you ever thought that you could be an epiphany for someone else? Is there someone in your life who's been an epiphany for you? Now, I got a phone call this week from a church member, and that's not unusual. But our conversation wasn't ordinary. Now, we all have our challenges, and this person has had their fair share of them. And I was told that while dreading getting out of bed, this person was praying and asking for insight. And the insight that came was that they'd been thinking about everything backward. Instead of wishing things could go back to the way they were, the aha moment was to look forward with hope and expectation for the new way that things could be. It was an epiphany. And it was a revelation to that person, but I have to say it was a revelation for me as well. I was glad to have shared that moment. It let me be hopeful for them, for myself, and for the church. It made me see how each one of us, simply by sharing a God moment with someone, can shed light, can bring light to somebody else. And that's what happened when those 2 quiet disciples, Philip and Nathaniel, met Jesus. You know, they don't get much airtime in the Bible other than this story in the Gospel of John. But maybe after today, they might be a bit more memorable for us. Now, we don't know much about Philip's story, but John helps us get a sense that he knew about Jesus because that's where Andrew. He grew up in the same village where Andrew was from. So he knew his hometown friends, and they probably told him about Jesus. At least we can surmise that. So when Philip met Jesus, he showed no hesitation. We always wonder about that. Jesus invites people to follow him, and they don't hesitate. In fact, Philip's excitement was so much that he couldn't help but go and grab Nathaniel, the skeptic, and go and meet Jesus. And I think that we could probably picture Philip grabbing his friend by the arm, literally dragging this plain-speaking, mistrustful friend, firing off information just to convince him to come along, see this guy. And what does Nathaniel say? What good can come out of Nazareth? Obviously, he called things as he saw them. And Philip's invitation was simple. Come and see, he said. Now imagine Nathaniel's surprise when Jesus looked at him and basically said, well, here's the man who has a deceitful bone in his body. Nathaniel, how do you know about me? He wondered. And when Jesus tells Nathaniel, well, about the fig tree incident, I would love to know what happened under that fig tree. But Nathaniel sees that Jesus knows who he is truly, and his epiphany is powerful. He recognizes all at once the qualities of Jesus, a rabbi, a teacher, the Son of God, divine presence right there, and the King of Israel, a leader. It seems as if Nathaniel was given an inborn perception for the truth. And because Nathaniel the skeptic can believe, maybe we can too. Now, no one has any clue of what Nathanael was doing under that fig tree. Maybe telling a bunch of guys how it was in the political scene or the inside scoop on the temple gossip. But whatever happened that day, Jesus could see Nathanael, could see his heart, know his mind, and he knew he would make a good disciple. But remember, I think the story is inviting us to remember, first and foremost, that Nathanael got to know Jesus because Philip introduced them. Last week, we were a small but mighty group gathered on a frigid Sunday morning. With the wind chills below zero, I'm sure getting splashed with water was the last thing on people's minds, but splash we did. People stepped up to get in the water along with Jesus, metaphorically speaking. We did a reaffirmation of baptism. We made the choice once again to follow Jesus, whatever shape or form that takes for you, and thus began this season of Epiphany. Now, even if you weren't here to renew your commitment to be a disciple of Christ, you are here today. You're a 21st century disciple. And Jesus has been at our own fig tree incidents. Jesus knows us. He knows who you are and knows who you can be. You and I, like Philip, we have a message of good news to proclaim, even to the most skeptical. Because when you share your story with someone, you might just be an epiphany for that person. They need to hear what you have to say. So it's a good thing to be like Philip and say, come and see. Share your personal witness. Just that simple gesture of sharing demonstrates you're caring for others, and it has an immeasurable impact. You can't quantify it. You know, those first disciples were people whose hearts were captured by Jesus in some way. And people went out. They found their families and their friends, and they said, come and see. I want you to get to know this man. Now, we can't compel someone. You can't argue or shame somebody into faith. But that's not what God wants us to do either. All that is asked of us is that we live our lives in a way that gives people an inkling of where in our community Jesus lives. The Reverend Tina Kemp wrote this. Billy Graham summed it up well when he said, we are the Bibles the world is reading. We are the creeds the world is needing. And we are the sermons the world is heeding. Your stories, your epiphanies. Go out today and let someone know that Jesus lives right here. And you will be an epiphany for someone else.